Scanning for audio.
Welcome to another Tin Dog podcast. Now, my family are kind of a bit focused on, let's say getting through, watching all of Stranger Things before they move on. Now, if it was me, what I would have done was podcasted each individual episode. But no, we've just finished season 3, okay? I'm being honest with this. We just kind of went straight for it. We're going through it. We'll probably hit season 4 perhaps tonight, which is why I need to record my review of season 3 right now with you before my head starts filling with more notes. Season 3, the first 3/4 of it, basically up to the last 2 episodes, they felt more comedic. They felt like they'd taken Hopper's character and tried to turn him more into a comedy character, giving him the Magnum t-shirt. I get it. I get what they were doing, right? It's 1985. Oh, when you start this, you go, so what year is this now? Right, as soon as it started with that scene in Russia with the let's generate a gate thing, which looked straight out of one of those lovely cutscenes in a game that my wife insists on skipping, that I always enjoy considerably more than the gameplay, because I am a cutscene boy. I'm the person who goes, right, I'm here for the narrative, then I'll solve your problems, then I'll solve your little riddles and whatever, and then I'll come back and I'll play the game, and I will watch all of the cutscenes. She's very impatient. She's just here for the gameplay. She's a much bigger gamer than me. Okay, but this thing just looked like an opening cutscene from 1,000 games. Hey, let's generate this large gun thing that creates a hellmouth or a gate to another dimension that lets in the creature, okay? And then it cuts out and you're definitely in Russia, okay? Because they are definitely trying to do the same as what 11 managed to do. They're punching a hole to the alternative universe, the Upside Down. Okay, so I get that. It fails. He has 1 year to make it right. So within 1 year, this entire narrative takes place. The Russians manage to invade secretly, build a giant shopping mall, burrow underground a ridiculously long way, which I'm not quite sure why they did that, and then manage to get all of the equipment in place, decorate, make it look like the single most 80s thing, recreate the machine. God knows what's in the green liquid things. I was expecting some of those to actually be used as weapons against the Shoggoth, whatever the thing. Oh, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I've created lots of notes. Now, the thing is, if you enjoy something, it's like you just go, fantastic, no notes. Okay, so season 2 is fairly sporadic in the notes front. My season 3 notes fill, in very small writing, a whole page, because I had stuff to say. So let's cover this. And they're going to be quite random, because obviously they're notes. So what we've got here is, so if season 1 is based on Firestarter, and it was nice to see the Firestarter poster up in the video store. Season 2 has Firestarter with added aliens and scanners. So season 3 is Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Okay, it is interesting to note that although there's more comedy moments in this season than there are in the others, the biggest comedy moment, the song at the end, is one of the biggest heartfelt, feels like the first 2 seasons moments. So, no one can win on this one. And what are my notes? Let's have a look at my notes, shall we? Russian opening scene felt like from a game. Season 3 of a TV series is usually when a show finds its feet rather than finds its voice, like Star Trek Next Gen, that kind of thing, and the X-Files. But here, it feels like it's gone off on a bit of a tangent. I don't know whether it comes back or not, or what Season 4, or indeed Season 5, which I know some of you out there will have now seen as this gets released. What have I written? Oh, rats. What joy, because I bloody hate rats. My least favourite rat is the naked mole rat, which gives me the absolute heebie-jeebies. They are in, there's a sort of tropical house in Leeds that you can visit, and it's got magnificent butterflies, wonderful lizards, brilliant fish. Okay, we used to go there when my daughter was very small. Okay, the humidity in there is incredible. It does weird things to people's hair. It's hilarious. Okay, we had some great times there. However, just when you go into the main door, there is a display, and there are some naked mole rats, and they move as one like a tide of terrifying flesh. Okay, they are absolutely Lovecraftian. They are awful. I hate those, and that's what we had here. So such fun. And then they start exploding, and they start eating nitrates, which I was expecting them to be part of the whole, they've been eating explosives, I wonder if that'll help make them explode later on. That didn't come up. That's fine. What have I got? Starcourt is doing to small retailers what Amazon has done to malls in America. Well, here as well. Yes, we've got the death of the high street, but the high street's been dying since the 80s. And yes, it just has been. It has been here, the small building, small businesses are going out. So, and empty malls are just weird when you see them on YouTube. I love that they're sneaking into the movies. I love what's happened to Okay, so we've also got 2 new characters. Well, 3 if you count Susie. Robin is a brilliant addition, which brings me to my other notes later on. Obviously, I'm expecting that you've already seen Season 3, and we're just having a nice chat about this. So we've now got Robin, who is a lesbian character. That's cool. But we've also got Will, who in Season 1... or a lot of people were calling him a fag. However, that is standard 1980s put down words. I mean, let's face it, the entire group would have been called that. Just casting my own back to past. And I know having one of the group as gay made sense. I mean, my best mate at the time was... Now, was Andy Barber... He was a role player, so that does make sense on that one. It just felt a little bit odd because it was mentioned that his dad thought he was as a child. Let's face it, parents aren't as thick as their children often imagine. But I did find it interesting that they went with that. Now, also, he was the one who decided to dress up as a wizard. Now, this is the thing that I'm having the most issue with. It's not the fact that they've decided that this character's gay. Fair enough, let's go with that. I don't even know if that's ongoing character development for later on, or whether he just doesn't like girls and hasn't matured. But then he's the one who throws away the RPG stuff. Well, it doesn't get thrown away, but that's another note for another time. See, I'm more fixated on the RPG aspect, the role-playing game, the Dungeons and Dragons, than I am of this. Other new character, Erica. I know she's been in it before and she was awful. See, this is what the Duffler brothers do really well. They introduce characters who you immediately dislike in a kind of Colin Baker Sixth Doctor turning up in a terrible way kind of a way. And then eventually you go, actually, they're kind of cool. Erica's a brilliant example of that, right? Yes, and Dustin's way of seeing her and just going, yeah, nerd, you're sorted. Absolute genius. The My Little Pony as a gateway drug into being, fantasy is brilliant, and it works. I've seen that work, and I've never put 2 and 2 together. But like Dustin, I know slightly more about My Little Pony than I should. Let's face it. You can have a daughter who likes fantasy. That's fine. But you know what? You do that, and then you hit Adventure Time, and everything's going to be fine. Oh, I've also purchased, I'll say this now, the real Ghostbusters cartoons. every single episode. So I could talk about those after I've done Ulysses. If you'd be interested in that, please message me if you'd be interested. If not, I'll just watch them while I'm on a treadmill. Because yes, I'm on a health kick. Because I kind of need to be. Moving on. Let's look at the notes. What have we got? New Coke. Right. Now, if you're in the UK, cast your mind back. There was a TV commercial where a kid is kicking a can all the way home and he's going, I want to be John Barnes, right? I think it was an advert for milk or something, but he's kicking this Coke can all the way home and it's set in the past, right? And it really annoyed me, this advert. Not because it was about football or milk or anything like that. It was that they'd used the wrong... This was set sort of 10 years earlier. And the can that the kid was kicking along the road was a current Coke can. And the current Coke can has the new current type of ring pull, okay? If you watch this, you are very, very carefully never ever seeing ring pulls. The cans are usually the correct shape and usually the correct type for the time, right? Because, the art department's not stupid. These cans are going to be costing a lot of money, but it's almost impossible to find ring pulls that are of the 1980s design, which are pull off and throw away, which is why you don't see the top of the can. Now, there was a montage in season 2 where everyone was opening cans to have a drink, and I'm pretty sure you saw someone open one of the modern can ring pulls, and that kind of annoyed me a bit. I'm sure that there are other anachronisms that I haven't quite grasped, but let's just assume that it takes place in some sort of slightly alternate 1980s. I am approaching this in a kind of dark place, Garth Marenghi approach, because let's face it, it's got a lot of parallels with that. And Dark Place Hospital does look a lot like the Hawkins Power Institute. I'm just putting that out there. So, getting on. I used to have an issue with the John Barnes advert because of the ring pull use. Here we've got something similar with the ring pull use in the cans. However, I really enjoyed the use of New Coke as a tiny subplot, and the argument about people drinking New Coke and not New Coke was great. I really would have liked some sort of Max Headroom reference, but obviously it's getting quite difficult. I know that they had Back to the Future on the screen, which was really, really nice, that they managed to get bits of pop culture into this, because let's face it, the one thing that the West does really well is pop culture. I've got issues with the Russian storyline, okay? I'm watching it, and what I'm thinking is, this now feels like Austin Powers. It feels like a really low quality Bond storyline. Yes, they're trying to also emulate things like Red Heat, and obviously the guy with the bulletproof vest on, the main Russian hitman, is very, very much like, he's channeling his inner Terminator, which we can live with. We absolutely can. It's a homage to everything that is the 80s. But obviously, at its core, this isn't Dungeons and Dragons. What this is Call of Cthulhu. By far a superior role-playing game. I am tempted to also run a game of Call of Cthulhu, a solo one, at some point, and do that as a podcast. If you'd be interested in that, again, please email me. I'm interested in knowing exactly what you'd like me to be covering in future. Tell me what you want me to review. I'll do it. I'll chat with you about this. I will do this. This is not a problem. But Call of Cthulhu is my favourite, okay? Now, in the Dunwich Horror, there is a large creature, wobbly round thing that stomps his way around the countryside and ends up destroying little cottages and looks for all the world like the made-from-flesh version of the Mind Flayer. It's a Shoggoth, right? It absolutely is. A multi-dimensional being that just smashes up the place. Yes, it's got, nods to Evil Dead, but it's the Dunwich Horror, okay? Everyone's shooting it with a shotgun. And you know what? There are scenes like where Nancy goes into the bathroom and she sees blood on the door. And I'm just, in my head, I'm thinking, make a perception roll. It's It's like that. I'm approaching the whole thing like a multi-layered Cthulhu story. And it was like, oh, well, Dustin's not available for these weeks. Or the GM's meeting another character for this parallel Russian storyline. Because I know from a TV point of view, having a split narrative where you cut the characters off so you can jump from one to the other makes so much narrative sense, because you get so invested, and then the narrative cuts to something else during the boring bits of one bit, or they're climbing through corridors and stuff like that. That makes total sense. Let me just have a quick more look at these notes. Don't you think, let me see, Dustin's new girlfriend, Cerebro, all of those notes are nice. I do think that the ice cream crew, let's call it that, the ice cream crew, when they're on the roof, when they see the Russians outside with the AK-47s in the loading dock in scenes that, feel more like Beverly Hills Cop, that's when they would have called Hopper. That's when they would have called the actual police. Hey, there's some people outside the mall with machine guns, right? You would have done that. That's the point where they wouldn't have just wandered off and tried to investigate and tried to get into the complex themselves. That's the bit where it goes all Goonies for me. I know Copper's got his own weird storylines, and they all do come together, and it takes them so long. But just like the earlier stories, if there was more communication, then these stories wouldn't last half as long. Everyone needs to be listening to Will, because of by the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. That's the thing that's going on with his neck. So, again, that's important. Erica's character development is great, like I've said. Moving on. When Billy hits the phone box and then gets out, and then he's in the Upside Down, and this is when you still think that the Russians have made it all the way from Russia using their gate. Okay. And Billy's there, and there's lots of people behind him. And then the alternate universe Billy says, we want what you want. That aspect, that storyline, that vision is completely ignored. It's spooky, it's scary, it works really well visually. What do they want? Who are the people behind? Is it a Russian army using the Upside Down in order to invade America? These are all thoughts that were in my head. I was like, I wonder where this is going. Are they using it to travel like, the Mole Men characters, but rather than, and how do they get here? Now, I'm still concerned about the nature of what the Upside Down is, because the buildings from our universe exist there. Will this be dealt with? How are our things there? It's a shadow realm, which means that it's our realm in existence, but do all of our buildings exist there? I'm guessing so. So how is that the case? Is it a whole Sapphire and Steely kind of thing? I just don't know. I'm guessing we may never find out. It made me jump when he put the games in the charity box. It made me feel very uncomfortable. And here's the thing. At the very end, when you think Hopper's dead, clearly he's not, because there's an American in a cell, and you're just thinking, well, he just jumped through the hole, didn't he? Because where did all the Russians go? Did they all get zapped by the thing? You don't want to be in the room when it goes off, all that business. Right. And then Winona Ryder takes her family, which now has Elle in it as well, and that's a lovely moment with a letter. I'll put my hands up and say that now. Off to live somewhere else. Now, elder son wants to stay there because Nancy's there. Will's going to miss all of his friends, right? And Elle's just going along because she has to. And she's going to miss all of her friends as well. The only person who wants to move, who needs to move, is Winona Ryder's character. Is that selfish? Is she doing what she thinks is best for the family? I suppose she might be. It's a little bit annoying because everybody else wants them to stay. She wants to stay. Well, everyone except her wants to stay. I'm not convinced. Now, I know there's a season 4 and I know there's a season 5. And I don't know if it takes place in Hawkins or not, or if it's more of a national thing. It was nice. Oh, I didn't end up telling the story. Okay, so last time I was telling the story about we're at an all-night film showing of Aliens, and he comes on, the bloke from Aliens, the one who's in this, the one who turns up at the end and shakes his head at the Russian attempt to create another gate. And when he comes out, people start booing, going boo, boo, because they've seen the film before. It's been out for years. And I shout, no, he'll be fine. He was in My Two Dads. And that's what got the laugh. I've just realised I started telling the story. And that's fine. If you don't remember My Two Dads, that's also fine. And is not important right now. Sorry, that story was funnier in my head. Dunwich Horror, Shotguns, Billy's Death and Redemption, and oh look, she's lost her powers. Now, okay, having to deal with the whole, what's the worst thing that, you always do that with characters. What's the worst thing that could happen to this character? She could lose her power, she could lose her family, right? That's the emotional arc that they're giving to Eleven, which I get. So that would have to be dealt with in season 4. I'm guessing by this point they know there's going to be a season 4, so they have to lay all the groundwork. But I don't know how Netflix works. Netflix might have gone, do a season, we'll tell you whether you can have another one at the end, which is not helpful, not good, and that's understandable. So that brings me to the end of this. Oh look, Conspiracy Guy is back. And he is, and that's great. You've got Conspiracy Guy. I do like him. I'm glad he's back. But I'm a bit annoyed that he didn't remember the stuff that was on the tape that he heard them play to him in season 2. And as far as I'm concerned, like last week when I was watching this episode. So I know that he's just watched this. That annoyed me a bit. But it was nice that he was there. I don't know if the guy could actually speak Russian, if they'd checked in the first place, whether he had to learn it, because he did very well. And it came across actually spot on. So that was great. Thoroughly enjoyed it towards the end. Yes, the battle with the fireworks. I was hoping they'd get it to swallow some of the fireworks and then blow it up from the inside, and then perhaps it would reform. All of that business is fine. But you can kill it by cutting off its connection to the other side. I also, well, like I said, I really wish they'd managed to use some of the exploding acid green stuff to try and kill it as well. Multiple attempts at trying to kill stuff is very much game level. It's like, oh, well, if I use all of these exploding arrows on it, that'll work. Sorry, I'm still bitter about that particular Resident Evil where I had to replay the entire first disc again in order to have all of the exploding arrows to take out the thing on the plane, because you can't use any other weapons except the exploding arrows. So I had to play the whole first disc again in order to collect all the exploding arrows, keep them, and then shoot it so that it would come off the back of the plane before we landed in the ice government research facility. Okay, sorry. Not bitter. Not that I keep going on about that at all. So, now that we've seen season 3, I can do something I've been wanting to do for years. Literally, in Asda, I found a Stranger Things notebook. Okay? And I bought it, and my wife said, you can't actually use that until you've seen Stranger Things. And I went, what? It was in the sale, and that's fine. So, on the front of my Stranger Things A5 Premium Notebook, which I can now actually open and have a look at. So bear with. Sorry, I just wanted to share this with you. It's a VHS style notebook in a slipcase. Slipcase has a Starcourt image on the front with, I'm going to have to call it the Shoggoth, I'm sorry. All of the characters. Hopper's a bit faded. Mum's a bit faded. Is that Robin? 11. We've got Scoops Ahoy. The Scoops Ahoy, my God, he had to spend like months wearing those shorts. That would be so annoying. How thin is that man? He can like fit underneath toilet doors. That's just scary. Billy. I love the whole montage pictures and things. Okay, so the boxes here. We've got Scoops Ahoy sticker on what looks like a VHS tape. Inside is a very nice image of the crew. And you get stickers. Yay, stickers. That can go on my protective shell case. Okay, got Camp Nowhere. That one's absolutely going on my tablet case. Scoops Ahoy, Stranger Things, Upside Down, Starcourt, Ice Cream for Life, Hawkins Pool, the City of Hawkins, and a label that would go very well at home on a VHS, and it says, and it's also got the little thing at the bottom that says Paladin, Ranger, Mage, Cleric, Bard, and Zoomer. Okay, however, she might be down as a Zoomer. My money's on her being a cleric, because she actually had the thought on how to repair her own wounds, which was very nice. Okay, enjoyed it? Yes, particular towards the end. Season 4's coming our way soon. I hope you're enjoying these sort of kind of retrospective, but like I said, it's all new to me. Until next time, be seeing you. That was the Tin Dog Podcast. All topics discussed are the intellectual property of the copyright owners. No infringement is intended. Why not follow the show on Blue Sky at tindogpodcast.bsky.social. If you've enjoyed this podcast on YouTube, please click like and subscribe. To contact the show, email tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk. The Tin Dog Podcast is a founder member of the Doctor Who Podcast Alliance.